Panahon na ng pagbabago, dahil sa ito ay kinakailangan. Tayo na magtulong-tulong na maunlarin ang mahal na panahon na ng pagbabago, gawin natin ay gawin maaliwalas. Tanging magandang bukas, subukan ng bagong Pilipinas. Panahon na.
Madayaw nga adlaw, mabuhay at magandang araw Davao. Hatid ng Presidential Communications Office at ng Philippine Information Agency, ito po ang Kapihan sa Bagong Pilipinas, kung saan itinatampok po natin ang mga nagawa at mga napagtagumpayan ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno sa administrasyon ni Presidente Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. Ako po ang inyong lingkod, Rene Carbayas ng Philippine Information Agency Region 11. At makakasama ninyo kami tuwing Martes ng araw alas 9 ng umaga sa lahat ng online platforms ng PIA Davao Region, sa Facebook man at maging sa YouTube. Kaya't bago ang lahat, i-follow at subscribe na ang aming social media pages at i-like and share ang live stream na ito. Ang Department of Environment and Natural Resources ay ang ahensya ng pamahalaan na nangangalaga sa ating kapaligiran sa pamamagitan ng pagpapatupad ng mga batas kaugnay sa pangangalaga at proteksyon ng ating kalikasan at likas na yaman. Ang DENR ay isa sa napakalaking departamento ng ating gobyerno na mayroong mga attached offices at agencies na nakatutok sa iba't ibang aspeto ng konserbasyon ng ating kapaligiran at sustainable utilization ng ating likas na yaman. Ngayong umaga, kamustahin natin ang DENR Region 11 at alamin kung ano po ang mga programa, proyekto, mga tagumpay, mga issues and concerns sa ating rehiyon na kanilang tinututukan. Makakasama po natin ang ating DENR Region 11 Regional Executive Director, si Attorney Maria Mercedes Dumagan. Magandang umaga po, RD.
Magandang umaga, RD Rene.
Now you have the floor to present ang ating mga accomplishment po ng DENR.
Thank you very much. Sa tanan natong mga tigpaminaw ug televiewers, mga kaigsuunang Davaoeños ug isig kataong Pilipino, usa ka kinaiyahanong adlaw sa atong tanan. Today is a strategic opportunity to present the major programs and milestones of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Davao Region, highlighting the department's efforts to safeguard the region's natural capital. Davao Region is one of the country's havens, enriched and abundant with natural resources. These blessings, however, also present a significant challenge in managing Davao's natural resources. There is a delicate balance that we must strike between development and conservation. Our collective responsibility is to protect our natural heritage and use our resources wisely, motivating us to contribute to this balance. And yes, the DENR cannot do all of these things alone. The DENR's mandate encompasses a broad spectrum of responsibilities, from regulating the use of natural resources to enforcing environmental laws, promoting sustainable development, and rehabilitating degraded ecosystems. It is an immense task that we must undertake with dedication and resolve. So today, let me share with you some of the accomplishments we have delivered for the past 3 years. The DENR Central Office has employed the Geospatial Database Office and Control Maps and the establishment of the Office of Integrated Science in our department. At the regional level, we have facilitated the development of the Regional One Control Map, contributing to the National DENR Control Map. The geospatial database provides a catalog of our natural resources, including land, forests, water, and minerals to come up with accurate mapping to aid planning, resource allocation, and equitable distribution of environmental programs that is science-based, enabling evidence-driven planning and decision-making. The One Control map showcases land classification, protected areas, ancestral domain lands, national greening program sites, and tenure maps, among others. The Water Resources Management Office, or the WRMO, created under Executive Order 22, Series of 2023, primarily coordinated and harmonized government efforts for sustainable water resource management nationwide, enforces public convenience certificates, and oversees water-related infrastructure managed by other government agencies. Following this, the Water Resources Utilization Section was strengthened at the regional level. Additionally, DENR Davao, through the Environmental Management Bureau 11 or EMB 11, ensures the implementation of the Adopt an Estero program, which encourages the business sector, in collaboration with local government units, to clean up and maintain a particular estero. The number of adopters that participated in this program increased and participation intensified. Moreover, the classification of water bodies establishes the most suitable uses for each water body and implements corresponding regulations for activities along their stretches. The number of classified water bodies has grown from 63 in 2021 to 70 as of date. Most freshwater bodies in Region 11 are categorized as Class B, or suitable for recreational purposes, Class C, or water bodies that are suitable for agriculture, irrigation, livestock watering, and fisheries are also prevalent. For marine water bodies, the majority falls under the SB classification, allowing commercial shellfish propagation, ecotourism, and recreation. This initiative contributes to improved community quality of life by fostering physical and mental well-being, promoting social interaction, and creating job opportunities in tourism and related industries. Committed to providing water for all communities, DENR initiated the Small Water Impounding System, or SWIS, to capture and store spring water for hydration of NGP3 crops, agriculture, and domestic needs. There are 27 Swiss projects established across the region with a combined capacity of 820 cubic meters for the past 3 years. Davao region is abundant with mineral resources, with primary commodities estimated to contribute 179.45 billion pesos from gold, nickel, and copper in 2021 alone. Considering the foregoing, the MGB-11 constructed a 3-phase roadmap aiming to enhance investor confidence, expand domestic ore production and mineral assets, and uplift the country's stand as leading global powerhouse commencing 2022 to 2040. The intensified enforcement initiatives of MGB-11 has continued in illegal mining hotspots in the provinces of Davao de Oro and Davao Oriental, resolving the gradual increase of mining-related complaints and adverse environmental conditions, heightened community awareness, and promoted responsible mining. The map shown depicts the hotspots for illegal mining activities in Region 11 that are continuously being monitored by MGB-11 in some of the prominent localities. It has conducted investigations which resulted to the issuance of cease and desist orders. Davao region is home to the largest number of locally declared Minahang Bayan in the country, with a total of 13, of which 6 have small-scale mining contracts. The region is also rich in sand and gravel deposits, with 313 sand and gravel permits issued by the LGUs. MGB 11 has issued a total of 41 large-scale mining agreements and permits as of June 2024. The mining industry contributes to environmental protection through adherence to best practices to minimize pollution and habitat disruption, and investments in reclamation and rehabilitation of mined areas. DENR Davao has also been instrumental in forest and watershed management. Through the Enhanced National Greening Program, we have established extensive plantations and planted millions of seedlings. This initiative not only combats climate change, but also provides livelihoods for local communities. With emphasis on community development and environmental protection, the Enhanced National Greening Program, or the ENGP's objective, is to restore the approximately 7.1 million hectares of unproductive, denuded, and degraded forest lands within the period from 2016 to 2028 nationwide. The program involves planting a variety of indigenous tree species such as lawaan, nara, and mulave, and high-value crops such as cacao, coffee, and rubber, as well as bamboo, which supports diverse ecosystems and habitats. From 2022 to June of the current year, a total of 1,758 hectares in the upland areas were planted with almost 2 million seedlings. Moreover, the Enhanced National Greening Program also promotes socio-economic benefits, improving livelihoods and encouraging inclusive growth by involving local communities in tree planting initiatives. Since 2022 up to this year, we have partnered with 71 people's organizations with a total of 1,479 individual beneficiaries, generating almost 30,000 jobs in upland and rural communities, mostly indigenous peoples in the region. Through persistent efforts and a strong stance against illegal logging, DENR Davao, with the support of DENR's Environmental Law Enforcement and Protection Service, or ELEPS, in collaboration with law enforcement agencies such as the Philippine National Police, Philippine Army, the NBI, NICA, and the Philippine Coast Guard, managed to curb this threat. Operations were conducted to apprehend illegal forest violators with programs such as the Lawin Forest and Biodiversity Protection System, which integrates scientific data, community engagement, and technology to protect and restore forest ecosystems. Davao Region, renowned for its remarkable biodiversity, has 7 legislated protected areas, 3 of which are endowed with international accolades, namely the Mount Apo Natural Park in Davao del Sur and the Mount Hamiguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary and Pujada Bay Protected Landscape and Seascape in Davao Oriental. Davao Region's high endemism of biodiversity indicates the richness and health of ecosystems, bringing Davao's very best array of biodiversity at par with that of other megadiverse countries. Considering the aforementioned wonders of our protected areas, the benefits it bequeathed upon local communities became abundant in the form of sustainable livelihood opportunities, such as ecotourism and development, and some viable biodiversity-friendly enterprises. Amongst the wide array of wildlife species that DENR Davao has jurisdiction over, we have prioritized the protection and conservation of 5 specific iconic wildlife species, namely the Philippine eagle, flying fox, dugong, marine turtles, and tarsier. This strategy involves regular monitoring of population trends in selected areas with reported critically endangered species sightings and an intensified communication, education, and public awareness or SEPA campaign aimed at engaging communities, schools, local government units, and various stakeholders. Through these efforts, communities can be empowered to actively participate in the protection of these valuable species and their habitats. Under RA 9147, known as the Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act, illegal acts such as killing and destroying critically endangered wildlife species is punishable by law, with 6 years and 1 day to 12 years of imprisonment and a penalty ranging from 100,000 pesos to 1 million pesos. DNR Davao's efforts in managing coastal and marine resources have also been commendable. Programs such as establishing marine sanctuaries and mangrove reforestation projects have been crucial in protecting marine biodiversity and mitigating the impacts of climate change. One of which is the Coral Rehabilitation Program in Adicor Island Garden City of Samal, Davao del Norte, Mabini, Davao de Oro, and City of Mati, Davao Oriental. The coral plantations established in 2012, 2015, and 2016 respectively, covering a combined area of 4.5 hectares, have yielded 129.56 centimeters of growth increment. Continuous monitoring of the rehabilitated coral reefs are conducted, measuring gradual growth of the species. Streamlining the patent issuance process in the land sector ensures secure land tenure for communities. Simplified procedures reduce bureaucracy, encouraging investment, economic development, and poverty reduction. We also initiated the ADR on Wheels program, bringing alternative dispute resolution on land cases closer to the people, providing expert service at the grassroots level. Mula taong 2022 hanggang sa kasalukuyan, nakapaghandog na ang aming ahensya ng 3,762 residential free patents at 1,289 agricultural free patents sa mga benepisyaryo ng buong rehiyon ng Davao. Natamasa na nila ang matagal na nilang inaasam-asam na titulo ng lupa. The accomplishments of DNR Davao are a testament to what can be achieved when dedication, cooperation, and a genuine love for the environment converge. Our work aligns with the DNR's mandate and inspires us all to participate in stewardship of our natural resources. Matag usa kanato na ay responsibilidad sa pag-amuma sa atong kinaiyahan. Each of us has a role to play in conserving our environment, whether through simple acts like reducing waste and planting trees, or supporting policies and programs that promote sustainability. Every effort counts. Sa makausa pa, kami naghinaot sa inyong makanunayong pagduyog ug suporta sa mga programa sa DNR sa pagpalambo ug pagprotektar sa atong kinaiyahan. Together, we can ensure that the beauty and bounty of our natural resources are preserved for generations to come. Mabuhay ang bagong Pilipino na may pagmamahal at pagpapahalaga sa ating inang kalikasan.
Maraming salamat po, Attorney, for that beautiful accomplishments po ng DNR. Alam ko po na marami talaga pang pwedeng sabihin at i-report sa ating taong bayan ang mga nagawa ng ating departamento. Pero dahil sa limitado yung oras natin, I'm sure sa dami ng mga programa at activities sa pagpapalaganap ng maganda at maayos yung ating kapaligiran, ay tuloy-tuloy pa rin po yung programa ng ating DNR. Siguro, Ardy, bago ang interaction natin with the media, may mga konting katanungan lang siguro po ako. Ang likas na yaman natin, ang kapaligiran natin ay siya yung pinagkukunan natin ng pagkain, mga resources, at kuminsan dito yung livelihood una nagagaling yung livelihood ng ng sangkatauhan. So in terms of sustainable development, paano po natin nababalanse yung sasabihin natin, ano bang iuunahin ni DNR, yung environment protection or development dahil sa pangailangan ng ekonomiya?
Okay, so yan po lagi ang tanong, ano? How do we balance conservation and development? So, of course, they can go hand in hand, no? They are interdependent. We can maximize the economic benefits when we consider development and minimize the environmental impact, no? So hindi naman pwede na we consider development without really satisfying environmental protection and conservation. So they can go hand in hand actually, sir.
So yung sinasabi nating may mga possibility of abuses, yun ang usually ang tinitingnan because dahil sa mga kasakiman ng ibang mga kababayan natin, kuminsan yan nasasakripisyo po yung ating environment protection. Lalo na po with the issue of climate change ngayon. Sa pananaw po ninyo, nasaan na po tayo when it comes to responding or response po ng DNR in terms of really reducing the impact of climate change?
Okay. Maybe I can give a specific example as regards conservation versus development. When DPWH construct roads, di ba, nagpapasemento po ng kalsada or may mga struktura na pinapatayo ang DPWH and in the process, may mga napuputol na kahoy. Di ba, sir? So, mayroon pong obligasyon ang DPWH to do replacement planting. For every tree that is being cut, he has to replace it with 100 seedlings. So nasasagot po dyan ang sustainable development through our National Greening Program because yung mga seedlings na binigay ng DPWH would be planted in our national greening areas. No? So nababalanse po natin yan. No? Sa isang kahoy, nako-correct pa rin natin at nakikita natin even sa Google Map ang ating forest cover, hindi po nababawasan as far as Region 11 is concerned.
So sa lawak po ng ating land area ng Region 11, ilang porsyento po yung forest cover natin? At actually natanong ko po ito last time na sa ating mga kasamahan, for this purpose, how much of our forest has increased so far? Nadagdagan ba ang forest cover natin or nabawasan tayo?
I do not have the figures right now, but I can get back to you, RD.
Yeah, sige po.
But I believe last 2022, we were informed by our central office na top 1 po ang Region 11 as far as forest cover is concerned. And we are very proud of that.
Thank you. Makakasama po pala natin sa ating interaction dito, we have Miss Mira Fair Barquilla, the supervising EMS section, ang Chief of Chemicals and Hazardous Waste Permitting section. And of course, she is representing the OIC Regional Director of the Environmental Management Bureau, Region 11, Sir Arnulfo Alvarez. Kasama din natin ang OIC Regional Director ng Mines and Geosciences Bureau na si Ms. Beverly May M. Brevante. Ayan. So, tuloy po tayo, RD. Ano po yung kaibahan po ng Protected Areas Management Board sa DNR? Kanino ho ba mas may pangil ang pagpapatupad ng batas? Yung si PAMB, si PAMB ba, o si DNR?
Okay, ang Protected Areas Management Board is created under the INAIPAS Act, no? So it is the highest policy-making body in any protected area. It is composed of the different stakeholders within the protected area. Case in point, siguro sa ating Mount Apo, we have 92 members of the Protected Area Management Board, no? So represented by the governors, the mayors, the barangay captains. We have members from, it's multi-sectoral. We have NGOs, we have CSOs, and we have from the academe and other national government agencies. So it's multi-sectoral. So we draft policies, no? That is also in accordance with the Monthly Law or our INAIPAS Act. And this is being implemented now by the DNR. DNR is represented by our PASU in the protected area, our protected area superintendent, and he has his staff there sa ating Protected Area Management Office. So yan po, we work hand in hand with the PAMB in the enforcement, management, and protection of our protected areas.
Yeah, recently din po pinasara ng Protected Areas Management Bureau ang Mount Apo. At sa loob po ng 3 buwan mula Hunyo, nasa ano na po tayong status po nitong pagsasara.
Actually, there was a resolution that was passed by the PAMB regarding the closure of Mount Apo for 3 months. No? So right now, it is still closed until the end of August. No? So this is to give way for the rehabilitation ng ating mga trails, ng ating ecosystem, ng ating biodiversity, to give our wildlife reprieve from mga man-made na intrusions, no? So it is to allow also ANR or accelerated natural regeneration ng ating mga tanim within the protected area. So
Papahingahin, kumbaga.
yes, parang it's a rest for our Mount Apo.
So, gagaya din ng mga panahon na kailangan bigyan natin ng panahon ang mga kalikasan because they are natural for them to naturally regenerate, produce, etc. Just like sa dagat din natin, RD. So, nabibigyan natin ng panahon. So, sa usapin po naman ng napag-usapan na po natin. So, sa next question po natin ay ano po ba itong tinatawag na strict protected zone at multiple use zone sa Mount Apo? Kailan po ba ipinapatupad ang mga batas na ito?
Okay, sa ating INAIPAS, it is provided that protected areas should have management zones. No? So we call them management zones. So we have the strict protection zone and the multiple use zone. Ang atin pong strict protection zone ay ang area where no developmental activities are allowed. Because these are the area na highly susceptible to let's say, landslide, no? And these are also the areas where there is very rich flora and fauna, biodiversity, and where our wildlife resides. So these are the areas identified as strict protection zones. On the other hand, the multiple use zone is the area where ecotourism is allowed, or sustainable farming, agricultural, and mga agroforestry activities may be allowed. The establishment of roads, the establishment of government facilities are allowed within the multiple use zone. Yes, sir. But subject, of course, to the carrying capacity of the multiple use zone. No? Hindi pwedeng punuin ang multiple use zone. Just because these establishments are allowed, di po natin pwedeng punuin. We are conducting right now the carrying capacity of the area.
Yeah, siguro last on my part bago natin ibigay yung interaction natin with our local media. One perhaps question, RD, is that may pag-aaral ata ang ginawa ang inyong ahensya tungkol sa wala daw gaanong nakikinig ngayon sa issue ng Republic Act 9003 o ang Ecological Solid Waste Management of 2000. Ano po kaya ang pwedeng gawin upang mapataas at manumbalik dito yung interest ng mga mamamayan?
Ang atin pong ecological solid waste management is actually it's being implemented by our local government units. No, ang implementation po is with the local government units. As far as DNR is concerned, through the EMB, we conduct monitoring. We conduct monitoring and we provide technical assistance whenever they would need some technical advices, orientations on ecological solid waste management. Siguro what we can do para sabihin nating manumbalik ang interest nila is really to intensify our SEPA or our IEC, our information campaign through social media, through the press, through our Facebook pages. And we have to collaborate with our LGUs and our private partners, no? To be our partners in siguro disseminating why we need to follow the Ecological Solid Waste Act. And aside from that, the constant conduct of coastal cleanups also it is also part of informing the public that we are doing this so we can comply with the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act.
Sige, we can hear at this time ang ating mga katanungan for mga specifics. May mga detalye siguro na gustong malaman ng ating ng publiko sa pamamagitan ng ating mga media partners. Unahin po natin si Che Paligte of the Philippine News Agency Davao. Magandang umaga po.
Good morning to RD. You have mentioned that, I'll go back with the presented data when it comes to the mineral resources. You have mentioned that 179 billion yung gold, nickel, and copper in 2021. That was in 2021. Currently, how much are we talking about po?
Okay. For NGB matters, may I refer you to our Regional Director of the Mines and Geosciences Bureau, RD Bebs Brevante.
Yes, hello. Okay, good morning again. So, as to the current statistics and information when it comes to the mining industry, for the year 2022 to 2023, this is what we have right now on hand. So, when it comes to the fees and taxes received by the government, we already received 822 million pesos. And 6 million is the total occupation fee that was collected. It comes to the jobs generated. We have at around 12,000 jobs generated. And when it comes to the SDMP, 153 million, that's the total amount that is being allocated to the social development and management programs. So when we talk about the resources, reserves. So I don't have the statistics right now, but again, the Philippines is among the top countries with these natural mineral resources, especially when it comes to gold and copper.
Okay, thank you. Again, to RD, you have also mentioned that there are hotspots of illegal mining in Davao region, activities in Davao region. That are continuously being monitored until now. May we know the current data as to how many are operating illegally, and meron po ba tayong na-lodge na mga cases on them?
As presented, there were already cease and desist orders that were issued. But as to the numbers, again, may I refer you to RD Bebs?
Okay, so when it comes to the enforcement on illegal mining in Davao, again, our hotspots are in Davao Oriental and Davao de Oro. Since 2008 and 2023, we have already investigated, for the latest, 30 investigations were already done in these two provinces. And when it comes to CDO, we can see actually a declining graph of the issuances of CDO, and this shows that our enforcement is taking place, no? Talagang magandang ating enforcement kasi wala na tayong nabibigyan ng cease and desist order. But in fact, in the previous years, meron na tayong na-issuehan ng mga CDOs, siguro totaling to about more than 30 CDOs na.
Until now, yun pa yung data natin, ma'am.
Yes, but for the 2023, we have issued one for last year. But for the previous years, kasi very rampant, so marami tayong na-issuehan. So that this declining statistics only shows that we have an effective programs when it comes to enforcement on illegal mining.
Yes, and we have Jaisel Villacorte of DXGM Super Radio. Go ahead po. Magandang araw.
Good morning, everyone. Jaisal po sa GMA Super Radio Davao RD. Good morning, Attorney.
Good morning.
Attorney, may mga na-monitor ba gihapon ta dinhi sa Davao Region nga mga nagpatukod og mga resorts sa mga tourist establishments sa mga protected areas po?
Are you referring specifically to Mount Apo?
Pwede po.
Actually, the proliferation of the resorts and commercial establishments in Mount Apo started during the pandemic. So during the pandemic, we have limited access to the area, especially may mga restrictions, no? na bawal ba yata mo gawa sa atong panahona. And considering the limited manpower of our Protected Area Management Office, so it was just recently na nakakonduct yung thorough inventory of the existing structures, no? Although dili pa nga di tapos, it's an ongoing activity of the PAMO, no? Ang conduct of inventory. Now, for now, we have been strictly monitoring, no? So, sa karon wala na yung nagapatukod og bago nga mga struktura because we have also coordinated with the mayors of Bansalan, the mayor of Digos, no? So they have been helping us para maka-come up sila og mga ordinances na dili sila mag-issue og mga business permits, dili sila mag-issue og building permits basta walay clearance from the PAMPI. No? So that's one way of helping na wala na yung magdungag pa nga mga struktura within our protected areas unless they have the tenure called SAPA. The SAPA is the Special Agreement in Protected Areas. No? So naay proseso sa pagkuha og SAPA which they have to undergo para they can be allowed to be in our protected area.
Thank you, RD. Naabatay datos kung misaka ang ihap sa mga gikonsidera or girekomenda nga mga no-build zone?
For the no-build zone, maybe si RD Bebs, no? Because that they would be basing that on the geohazard maps, no? That is lodged with the Mines and Geosciences Bureau.
Okay, so in terms of the issuances of SAPA and with the no-build zone, well, we have to clarify that the declaration of no-build zone is within the mandate of the local government unit. So the DNR MGB assists, no, we provide technical assistance and data when it comes to basis on this declaration. So as to now, we don't have yet that information on the overlaying of this data.
Lastly na lang po. Nabigihimo nga investigation po ang DNR kalabot atong usa ka agila, Philippine Eagle nga namatay po no sa may Davao de Oro.
Yes, no. Ang agila manggod ang nakakita ang atong Philippine Army ug ang mga IPs nato sa area, no. So this was reported to our Penro also. So nagsubmit na og report ang ato ang Penro. So right now we are conducting investigation, no. People are already in the area with the assistance of our Philippine Army and the Philippine National Police because we also have to secure our employees, no. And we have been coordinating with the Philippine Eagle Foundation. Within the week, they will be meeting again to coordinate with the National Bureau of Investigation para sa case build-up. But first, we have to identify the culprit, no? Kinahanglan mabalansa nato kinsa nga to ang makasuhan.
Thank you, Attorney.
Mukhang ang hirap talaga na ma-identify no, sa lawak ng
Yes,
forested
sir.
area na medyo parang liblib talaga siya na forest
Yes,
area.
sir.
And so siguro yun yung malaking hamon. Are there any other challenges po na kinakaharap po ninyo in really enforcing the laws on environment po?
Sa amin namang departamento, sir, we conduct SEPA, no? Mga IEC. We go to the barangays. We go down to the communities to inform them what are our environmental laws. So we would like to tap them to be our partners. If we can possibly, siguro deputize some of them to be our partners, especially in wildlife enforcement laws. They can be our wildlife enforcement officers, no? We could conduct capacity building so they can assist us. And of course, we should always collaborate with our barangay LGUs, our MDRRMOs, so they could properly assist us. Plus, the help also and the support of our enforcement agencies like our police, our Philippine Army. So it's a multi-stakeholder activity that is being done within our etong mga areas natin where our wildlife thrive, no?
So we have a question from Jai Mondes ng PTV Davao. Go ahead po, ma'am.
Hello. Good morning po, RD.
Morning morning, Jai.
Aligned with because July, ma'am, is the National Disaster Resilience Month. So here in Davao City po, the CDRMO revealed that there is a new tsunami hazard map from the FAVOX and nadungagan ang mga barangay sa syudad na prone to tsunami, even tong mga lagyo sa mga coastal areas. My question po is, what could be the participation or the involvement of DNR 11 in order to at least prepare the public on the hazard or risk?
As far as DNR is concerned, we give the geohazard advisories through our MGB. No? So this is being emailed to our LGUs, and to those who would need our maps, we have it sa ating Mines and Geosciences Bureau. So that's we provide advance notice through our advisories. No? So they have to heed. Ang amin namang mga advisories ay based naman din sa mga releases ng Pag-asa. No? So that's one way of being alert. No? Check their emails and coordinate with our Mines and Geosciences Bureau for assistance. No? Maybe RD Bebs could also add.
Yes, in addition po on the IEC, the DNR MGB continuously implements programs when it comes to geohazard assessments. So this involves flood and landslide, and even the coastal hazard and our karst mapping. Moreover, we are also very active when it comes to our membership in the Regional Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council. So every time po na may mga paparating na mga weather disturbances, DNR MGB is on top of providing this information and data to all stakeholders. So as mentioned earlier by Red, our information is freely available to all stakeholders. Pwede pong tingnan ang aming mga portals to look at the map and even visit our office to obtain talaga yung mga specific informations for the region.
So it's more of a proactive stance po na ating local government unit to check on these sites. Kasi there are really certain occasions na medyo problema, challenging po yung ating internet, lalo na sa mga liblib na barangay at komunidad. So in view of that, ano po yung pwede pong gawin po ng DNR na sana makarating po talaga sa mga barangay itong mga impormasyon na ito?
Yes, sir. Actually, we conduct information education campaign down to the barangay level. So we go down to the grassroots. And even po during assessment, before aalis ang team ng MGB, we provide these advisories to the barangay chairpersons na po.
Ma'am, you have a follow-up question?
Another question na lang po. The Philippines po is the host country for the Loss and Damage Fund Board to mitigate the effects of the climate change. So may mandate na po ba from the DNR national level to what could be the participation, or do you have activities here in the regional level po?
We are still waiting for instructions. No? We are still waiting for instructions from our central office.
Thank you po. We have Carlo Doler, Kadangpan. Hello, sir.
Yes, hello. Good morning to RD. I would just like to ask po if necessary that we have the liberty to answer in regards sa efforts sa reforestation sa ilang areas sa Davao region. What are those projects na tinututukan natin po in terms sa reforestation efforts, especially sa mga tree planting activities po?
Okay, during the presentation, so we mentioned ang aming National Greening Program. It's now enhanced National Greening Program because we extended it from 2016 to 2028. So we intend to plant as many trees as we can and reforest and rehabilitate our denuded and yung ating mga areas na marami nang naputol na mga kahoy. So every year we have funding regarding establishment of plantations, seedling production, no? And we would identify our people's organizations within the area. Dapat nasa area lang sila so they can protect, no? Sila ang magprotekta because sila naman ang nasa area. Dili ta magkuha og mga POs outside of that particular area or that locality, no? So we tap the POs that are already existing and most of them are mga IPs, no? Ang atong mga kaigsuunang mga IPs. We provide the funds, we provide the mobilization, magsugod silang tanom, sa atong plantation establishment phase. And then, after siguro a few months, they are required to do maintenance and protection. That's up to 3 years, no? So, second year, maintenance and protection. Third year, maintenance and protection. Of course, bisag asa nga pagpananom, dili tanan mabuhi. Di ba? Dili tanan mabuhi. Labo na kung maigo ta og mga El Nino, La Nina, so dili tanan. That's when the maintenance would come in, no? We have to replant. So kaning mga asa ta nagapanguhag seedlings, dakong tabang ang kaning mga ginahatag sa tuwa through our tree replacement na mga projects, no? Kaning si DPWH pag mamutol siya kahoy kay magpatukod siya og kalsada, na siya ihatag sa tuwa nga mga seedlings, mauna ang ginahatag nato sa tuang mga NGP areas para mag-rehabilitate sa area, magtanong usab, no? Kada day mamatay, magtanong ta usab, no? So, basig na ay makaingon nga, inyong NGP areas, walay mga tanom. Siguro that's the time nga nangamatay ang mga tanom. So, we have to give chance sa to ang mga people's organizations to rehabilitate their respective areas.
Okay, last na lang on my part, no, in regards with the, can we give specific areas kung asa hatag o rehabilitation efforts for the trees and especially sa mountainous areas po?
Sa lahat po ng provinces, may target po kami for National Greening Program. Sa ating 5 provinces ng Davao Region, no? So, if you want, sa Davao del Sur, meron po tayong sa kada munisipyo, sa Digos, sa Kiblawan, sa Malalag. So, it's spread out. No, even in protected areas, we have National Greening Program.
Thank you po, ma'am.
You're welcome.
So I think we have one question for our media before we end the program. But don't worry po, may tutuloy po tayo sa part 2 para sa ating spillover with conversations with our press. We have Armando Feniqueta ng Radyo Pilipinas who is celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Magpapa-burger, pa-burger siya.
Anyways, kay RD Attorney, I'm just curious about this, parang nagsulputan ng mga inland resorts dito sa may Marilog area. Do we have an inventory for this inland areas? And then, paano po natin ma-ensure po na yung environment natin hindi ma-compromise?
Regarding mga inland areas sa Marilog, our Environmental Management Bureau, EMB, has already conducted inspection and inventory, but not an all-out inventory, no, considering limited pa po ang ato ang manpower from EMB. They have issued some ECCs, and they have also issued some notices of violation for those existing structures na wala nag-apply og ECC, no? So for more details, can I refer you to our representative from the Environmental Management Bureau?
Hi, good morning. Last 2021, since na-open og balik after the pandemic, we conducted survey of the resorts. However, during the conduct of the survey, there are a lot of inland resorts that were closed because of the order of the local government with a business permit issue, something. So, however, we still conducted surveys, and we surveyed 19 resorts in Marilog area. And in 2023, we also conducted another survey up to 2024. So, we surveyed 22 resorts, inland resort, and out of those 22 resorts, there are 2 who have secured an environmental compliance certificate, and 1 has a certificate of non-coverage. Ang problema lang kasi, nahihirapan silang mag-comply with the ECC because of the issue with the zoning. Kasi dapat nasa proper zone sila. And most of these resorts nagsusuputan din nung panahon din ng pandemic. So, as of now, EMB is still conducting more survey sa mga hindi pa na-survey natin ng mga resorts so we can have the inventory of ilang inland resorts na nandun sa area po. And rest assured, some of these were issued notices of violation for developing without securing first the ECC, without complying with the environmental laws po.
Thank you po, ma'am. At this point, we will thank first our media partners na nandito po ngayon, ang DXGM, Super Radio, PNA, Davao, Mindanao Times, Sunstar Davao, Kadampan, PTV Davao Crew, DXGN FM, GMA TV Cruise, Radyo 5, Radyo Pilipinas Davao, at ang Regional News Group. Okay? So maraming salamat po muli RD sa Department of Information, also sa Department of Information and Communications Technology Region 11 sa pagsisiguro po ng ating Wi-Fi connection. Maraming salamat po. At sa lahat po ng MUBO ng Department of Environment and Natural Resources Region 11 sa pamumuno ni Regional Executive Director Attorney Maria Mercedes Dumagan. Maraming salamat po, ma'am. At hingin namin ang siguro a few parting statement po from your end.
Okay, kami po ay nagpapasalamat din sa PIA for this opportunity aron mapadayag namo ang mga unsay nay nabuhat sa Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Ang pangangalaga ng kalikasan ay hindi basta-bastang magawa kung wala pong kooperasyon ng mga mamamayan. Kaya magtulong-tulong po tayong lahat sa ating pagtugon sa hamon na pangalagaan ang kalikasan.
Ayan po, maraming salamat. Tuloy po natin ang sa ngalan po ng aming Presidential Communications Office Secretary Cheloy Garafil, ang aming PIA Director General Jose Torres Jr. at ang buong puwersa ng Philippine Information Agency Region 11. Ito po si Rene Carbayas. Magandang araw at ating itaguyod ang bagong Pilipinas, Amping ta Davao.
This juncture marks my first year-end assessment as your Regional Executive Director. As I celebrate this milestone, it is with great privilege and honor to get you all apprised of our triumph on the major programs and projects of the department that we have successfully maneuvered and implemented here in Davao Region, respectively. Under the Enhanced National Greening Program, or ENGP, we were able to partner with 14 people's organizations to establish a total of 300 hectares of bamboo plantation, which was planted with a total of 61,200 bamboo cones. Through this program, we generated jobs for a total of 4,089 individuals region-wide. This is a solid proof of our compliance with the pronouncement of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. during his second SONA, which is to generate employment within the communities and require the participation of all sectors of society and individuals for climate change action. For the intensified forest protection and anti-illegal logging, this year, we accomplished more than 100% in the majority of our targets under this program. We conducted various trainings and capacity building for 269 DENR field personnel to enhance their skills and competence for the effective protection of our forests and establish plantations. With the assistance of various uniformed men and stakeholders such as the PNP, the AFP, the CIDG, and the NBI. Similarly, we have accomplished much for the enhanced biodiversity conservation. We were able to monitor and document the status of the biodiversity within the 11 protected areas through the implementation of biodiversity monitoring system. Majority of the ecosystems are stable, and that there are neither remarkable increase and or decrease in the population of the priority species, which include, but not limited to, the Philippine eagle, the Philippine long-tailed macaque, and Mindanao horned frog, among others. Due to the strict implementation of PA-related policies, the region has accomplished 112% of the annual target for the revenue generation, which translates to 14.414 million pesos. This shall then be utilized to strengthen the management and protection of the PAs within the region. Our accomplishments under the coastal and marine ecosystems rehabilitation are also promising, as we were able to achieve 100% for the marine protected area management, technical assistance to local government units, social marketing, and mobilization, among others. Under the improved land administration and management, we already surpassed our annual target by 32% and 44% for the appraisal and reappraisal of foreshore areas, respectively. In addition, Region 11 was able to issue a total of 1,237 residential pre-patents and 594 agricultural pre-patents to our stakeholders, which ensured security of land ownership of our indigent citizens. As for our financial performance, we have already obligated a total of 786 million, which is equivalent to 87.9% of our allotted budget for fiscal year 2023. A total of 692.9 million, or 88.2% of this obligated amount, was already disbursed. Because of the commitment of DNR Region 11 employees to provide the highest degree of service to our external and internal clients, and our compliance with RA 11032, or the ease of doing business, this is in line with one of the strategies stipulated in the 8-point socioeconomic agenda of the PBBM administration, which is to ensure sound macroeconomic agenda by enhancing bureaucratic efficiency and sound fiscal management. Taking into consideration all these accomplishments, I consider that we have achieved our targets effectively, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for all the support and commitment to ensure the success in all our endeavors and to provide the highest quality service to our clients and partners.
Welcome back po sa ating kapihan sa Bagong Pilipinas. Kasama pa rin po natin ang Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Muli po kasama po muli natin ang ating Regional Executive Director, si Attorney Maria Mercedes Dumagan, ang ating Supervising EMS Section Chief of Chemicals and Hazardous Waste Permitting Section, si Myra Fair Barquilla, if I have not mistaken yung pag-pronounce ng name. Mira. Of course, si ang ating OIC Regional Director ng MGV Region 11, Beverly May Brevante, ma'am. So, makakasama din po natin ngayong araw sa ating conversations with the media, ang OIC Assistant Regional Director for Technical Services, si Sir Victor Billones. Ito, marami ata itong pera kasi Billones to si Sir. Ang ating Assistant Regional Director for Management Services, Engineer Maribel Alicer. Hello po, ma'am. Ang PNR Officer of Davao Oriental, Pablito M. Ofresia. Hello, sir. Ang ating PNR Officer of Davao del Norte, Sir Alberto Manjola, sir. We have OIC PNR Officer of Davao de Oro, Rita Fe Gun. Ma'am, tama pa ba? Gun. OIC PNR Officer of Davao Occidental, Amelda Vera Cruz, ma'am. And PNR Officer of Davao del Sur, Chamberlain Babiera, sir. Magandang araw po muli sa ating lahat. And again, we'd like to welcome our media friends. Bago po ang ating mga taga-media magtatanong, may online question po muli tayo. What is your latest assessment on the credibility daw of the road along National Highway in Mawab since nagasigi daw og ulan karon? Second niya is, what is your assessment on the two relocation sites also currently constructed in Mako for the Masara landslide victims? So there are basically two questions po. So I don't know kung sinong sasagot. Go ahead po, ma'am.
Okay, so for the assessment of the Mawab Highway, no, so nangyari po yung failure during the kasagsagan ng shear line, and the DNR MGB 11 was able to provide initial assessment po of this failure during that time. But since it's a national highway, it is now under the mandate of the Department of Public Works and Highways. So as to the credibility, we leave that to the Department of Public Works and Highways. But we are, the DNR MGB again, is always here to provide technical assistance, being a member of the Regional Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council. On the second question on the assessment of the two relocation sites in Mako, so this is specifically in Panibasan and Barangay Kalabkab in Mako. So ito na po yung dalawang sites, no, that were assessed to be potential, no, during our initial assessment. So when we say potential, pwede po siyang i-develop subject to further assessment of and the conduct of an engineering, geological, and geohazard assessment para po malaman natin na ano pa ang kailangan i-implement na mitigating measures kasi these areas are prone to flooding. So hindi po natin may iwasan, especially here in Davao region, that ang ating region has a vast plains, no, maraming patag, but it is dissected by several creeks and rivers. So naturally po, ang ating region ay bahain talaga. So it is just classified into different category from low to very high. So ito pong dalawa, this is between low to high susceptibility to flooding, but low to landslide. So pwede naman po natin ma-mitigate itong mga geohazard na ito po.
Thank you po. From Armando Fediqueto again, sir. To be followed by Sir Charles Sido ng Sunstar. Paki-ready na lang po.
Isahon ko na lang ang pangutana. No? Una, to RD or anyone can answer this, no? Suda man to ko. To RD, ma'am, dito lang po sa, sa ayan. The issue in Samal Bridge po kasi parang walang katapusan to na issue, no? Ever since na may proposal and now may construction na. Kumusta po yung possible na environmental impact kasi ito yung unang nire-raise ng mga environmental groups, and then pangalawa po yung question ko para kay Ma'am Brebante. Ma'am, kumusta po daw yung mga unregulated mining sa Davao de Oro? Yan na po.
So on the Samal Bridge project, for the information of everyone, there is already a case pending before the Supreme Court, no? So I cannot thoroughly discuss the arguments that are already raised in the Supreme Court. We are still waiting for the decision. But we can say that just very recently, we conducted underwater assessment, no? We have coordinated with the multi-partite monitoring team because there is an MMT created purposely for the construction of the Samal Bridge. And this is being chaired by the LGU Enro of Samal, of Igacos. And we have members, mga IPs and other government agencies. We are also a member of the DNR, the CENRO, and the EMB. So right now, they are still going to conduct the monitoring because I think the conduct of monitoring by the MMT is semi-annual. But with the pressing issues right now, they will be conducting it very soon. But on the part of the DNR, kami sa Conservation and Development Division, together with Sandro Panabo, nag-conduct na may underwater assessment, no, to check if unsang impact ato more on the corals. Based on the findings, there are still corals thriving even within the alignment of the bridge, no, while construction is being conducted. Although naay mga maigo-igo nga gamay, but from the very start, we have been saying that the condition of the corals there are considered poor, no? Poor na ang kanyang category. So we are saying, and even during my presentation, we are saying that coral rehabilitation is possible. So that would be one of the mitigating measures and the rehabilitation measures that would be required sa proponent na DPWH after the construction of the bridge, no? So na ma-damage, but they can rehabilitate. Napakita na mo earlier, it is possible. We have done it in Adicor Samal, we have done it in Mabini, Davao de Oro, and we have done it in the city of Mati, Davao Oriental. Temporary restraining order. Yes.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, so in the case po of the illegal mining in Davao de Oro, so we cannot deny the fact that it still exists. No, meron pa rin yan kasi the Davao de Oro has it is abundant when it comes to mineral resources, but the DNR-MGB right now, no, even previously, we are working hand in the hand with the local government unit to help assist this small-scale mining sectors na ma-formalize. So we are providing also our technical expertise para naman matulungan sila on how to explore and how to do the right way of small-scale mining. And in terms naman of enforcement, of course, DNR-MGB together with our PENRO in Davao de Oro, we are still implementing mga cease and desist orders na in-issue previously pa, and monitoring is still ongoing po.
Okay, so sir, from Sunstar.
Hi ma'am, good morning. I'm Charles from Sunstar. So my question, I have 3 questions actually. But my first question is regarding the resort built near Mount Apo. And last April, DNR Secretary Yulo Loizaga said that they have no intention of closing the said establishment. So instead, DENR asked the establishment to comply with permits. So I would just like to ask po if this decision is still the same up until now, or if the establishment were able to comply with the said permits, or perhaps you may have updates regarding the progress of the construction of the said resort, or updates in general kung ano po yung nangyayari na doon. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. Even before pumutok yung issue on Mount Apo, remember? Kasi 'di ba may mga vloggers lang kasi na nag-raise doon, ano? Yes, as an offshoot of the Chocolate Hills. So even before that, we have already been doing our enforcement activities, no? Even prior nga nagputok na naka-issue na mi og show cause orders to these existing facilities. We have issued notices of violation kung wala sila nag-apply og ECC. And we have issued cease and desist orders. Na namin napasarado even before, no? But after the siguro can we just say after the Senate inquiry, no, mas daghan pa ang ato ang na-issuehan og mga cease and desist orders, notices of violation, and ang ato ang mga show cause orders, no? I do not have the numbers right now, but we can provide you later. But we are saying na we are not stopping, no? We are not stopping. We are doing our work through the Protected Area Management Board, through our Protected Area Management Office headed by our PASU, and of course the DENR in general. So, just very recently, we would like to inform you just very recently, gipatawag na mo tanang resort owners nga naa sa Mount Apo to inform them unsa ang status sa ilang mga applications, because some of them have already applied for PAMBI clearance. Some of them have already applied for ECC, and nakakuha na pud sila og kaning certificate precondition from the NCIP. So kani siya kung makumpleto ni nila, we will endorse it for the issuance of SAPA. Katong ginaingon nato nga special agreement in protected area. Mao na dapat ang ginagunitan sa tanang nasa protected area, no, SAPA. Now, katong mga resorts nga who did not heed our mga patawag, no? medyo gahi. Well, kung wala gyapon sila nag-apply for PAMB clearance, of course, we shall be filing cases against them. No? We have already, the PAMO have already sat down with our legal division, magki-case build up, no? In case na gahi gid gihapon. Because we have given them ample time to comply with the requirements.
Just a follow-up question po. Since last April, yung sinabi ko na article na nabasa, it's also from Sunstar. DNR secretary said that they don't have no intention to close the said resorts because they're actually also parang they also care for the people na nag-work sa mga establishments na doon. So since po meron kayong mga may pinapa-close ng resort doon, so ano po ba yung mga grounds na ano nila na violate nila in resulting po sa closure ng resorts nila po?
Siguro the context, no, when our secretary mentioned now, I cannot remember na she said the resorts won't be closed. No, wala akong maalala. Pero definitely, pag ang resorts ay nasa strict protection zones, they have to demolish. If they don't self-demolish, then we can have them demolished. So we have already issued, for the CDOs, prior to April, we have issued mga 7 cease and desist orders already. And then, right now, it's already numbering 19 cease and desist orders. Nakapasarado na may mga coffee shops, mga restaurants within street protection zones. Pero limited lang ang numbers actually within the SPZ. Mas daghan yun ang sa MUZ. No? Sa MUZ naman, because resorts naman are allowed within MUZ, gusto lang namo mag-apply lang unta sila kasi naman good sila sa area. No? Kato mga gahi lang, kato ang ato ang pasaraduan. And we will file cases.
Sige po. In relation na lang din, like follow-up, since you mentioned coffee shop, so I think everyone seen on Facebook that Green Coffee opened their new branch sa Buda. So perhaps may comment po kayo niyan kasi I think it's in the middle of the forest.
Okay. Sa Buda na area, no? Buda naman is not a protected area, but they still have to comply with the requirements sa ating environmental impact assessment system, no? Under sa EMB, dapat apply gihapon sila for ECC. If Myra or Mayat is aware of the green coffee in Buda?
Actually, we are not aware of that, but it is one of the establishments na for survey for this year. Ongoing pa kasi yung survey natin, hindi pa natapos, and we have limited manpower to do the survey. So, all over the region, kakaunti lang po ang manpower ng EMB, but we are focusing on surveys sa mga establishments that are not complying with the environmental laws. So, rest assured, aabot tayo dyan.
So, hindi ka na makapagkape doon, sir.
Thank you po. Next, sa mining naman po tayo. So, I'm actually an intern sa Sunstar. So, I'm a comm student. And I was able to visit one mining corporation in the country. And they are claimed to be a not illegal mining corporation. So, I just want to ask po if meron din po bang mga mining corporation dito sa Davao region na also help the DNR to restore the forest and environment po?
RD Bebs?
When it comes to Davao region, no, right now we have 4 operating mines, and part of their development actually is the implementation of environmental protection and enhancement program. So it's part of their compliance, which MGB is also continuously monitoring. So talagang may plano sila niyan for the whole of their mine life, and they are also our partners when it comes to ENGP. So meron silang mga donations ng seedlings in even areas na nire-rehabilitate as part of their commitment to the environment.
Thank you po. For my last question, regarding your statement kanina na for every 3 cut off, you plant 100 seedlings. How do you track the progress of this planting? And is this information accessible to the public?
It is our CENROS, our Community Environment and Natural Resources Offices, that conducts the monitoring of this regarding the tree replacement na activity ng DNR, no? And what was the next question again? May monitoring, yes, of course.
And accessible po ba yung mga progress nito sa public po? Like, do you publish the progress of this 100 seedlings?
I'm not sure if we have already posted it in the website, but you can write us, no, so we can reply if you need some information.
Thank you so much po. Thank you po.
Thank you, sir. I-like nyo po yung Facebook page ng DNR. Hopefully, makikita po natin yung mga information and progress report patungkol po sa estado ng mga ng greening program. Particular part siya ng greening program, right? Yung pag-replacement. When you cut one tree, 100 trees are being planted. So, merong ganong mga replacement under the greening program. Let's hear from Sir Mike Pasco, Radyo 5.
Okay, good morning. Sorry. Ito, Ma'am Mira lang. Ma'am, balikan ko lang yung inland resorts ng Marilog. This is in connection to the question of Armando. A sort of clarification lang. You've inspected 22 inland resorts, and how many of the 22 yung compliance ng ECC? Second question po is, kung may problem with the zoning, can you help us understand kung gaano kabigat yung issue ng zoning for them to get ECC? Third is, pag walang ECC, ano ang mangyayari sa resort?
First question, sir, is ilan ang may ECC? Yes. Out of the 22 we have surveyed from 2021 until 2024, as of to date, we have 2 that have ECC and 1 has certificate of non-coverage. So, actually, pinatawag na sila ng notice of violation, pinatawag na rin ng technical conference, and they are required to comply with the requirements to secure the environmental compliance certificate. However, the common problem that we encountered during the technical conference, that the data that we have gathered, is that they are not within the tourism zone. So they cannot be given the required document from the planning, from the city zoning office. So pag hindi po sila inallow sa area na yon, they cannot be given with environmental compliance certificate, and pag hindi din sila i-issuehan ng business permit with ng local government, so the local government can impose closure or stoppage of the operation of such firm. So sa PD 1586 kasi, gusto ko lang i-emphasize, PD 1586, yung ECC is not a permit. It is a planning tool. So guide nila yun kung anong dapat gawin. And sa PD 1586, we can issue only CDO and impose penalties. But mas may say talaga ang local government sa closure ng isang establishment once they will not issue a business permit and they will not allow that establishment in that certain zone.
Ma'am, balikan ko lang, baka na-mention mo na kanina, out of the 22, ilan na yung may CDOs?
I don't have the data here. Ang may ECC lang po is 2 and isa certificate of non-coverage. So, I don't have the data here kung ilan ang na-issuehan ng CDO, but most of these firms were issued with notices of violation. So, pinatawag na po sila for technical conference.
Doon sa guidelines lang, after they receive the copy of the notice of violation, how many days ba yung ibibigay sa kanila for them to reply and for them to comply?
nasa legal po yun, depende kasi they are given due process po. Parang hearing na rin po kasi yan. Pag may issue ng notice of violation, pinapapunta sila sa office for technical conference. And there, ilalahad nila kung ano yung nasa side nila at may lawyer po tayo na na nag-hear sa kanila and they will come up with an agreement depending kung ano yung capacity, kung gaano kabilis nila makomply, kung ano yung complexity ng requirements din.
Last na lang po, itong 22 until today, nag-ooperate pa.
Some of these are already closed.
Ilan po yung sama?
Hindi ko pa rin po nakuha yung data natin, hindi kompleto yung nandito sa akin, but we'll get back to you. But based on our database, sa survey natin, yun po ang lumabas. We have 22. But some of this kasi, during the 2021 survey, most of them are closed. Pinasara ng LGU because of the business permit issue.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome po.
Thank you po, sir. We have two questions. First, we have from Jaisel Villacorta of Super Radio. Sunod po si Maimona. Sikuan muna si Jaisel kasi siya yung nakalagay dito nung una. Pasensya na po, ma'am.
Hello. RD, good morning ulit po. Unsay status karon sa waste to energy project sa Davao sa pakig-alayon sa LGU Davao po?
Just yesterday, no, may meeting on WTE. What happened kasi was, meron na sanang budget for the WTE project, I think 2 years ago, that was lodged before the EMB. And then it lapsed because they did not get the NEDA ICC approval, no? We need to get the NEDA ICC approval for the WTE to start. So, hindi po natin nakuha yun because there were questions on the legal framework, there were questions on ownership. So, what we are doing right now is we are doing a repackaging of the project.
Pila ba'y gialokar nga budget sa maong proyekto?
I do not have, it's almost, I can get back to you later, ma'am, no? Ma'am Jaisel.
Pero RD, madayon bagyod ang maong proyekto.
It depends, no, kung acceptable sa NEDA ICC unya ang repackage project because it will come out now as a new project, no? New project na siya and we have to submit it again after it has been repackaged, meaning a conduct again of another feasibility study. So it is a process that we need to prepare so that we can have it approved by NEDA ICC. It really depends sa ICC.
Thank you, RD.
Thank you. We have, of course, si Maimona na. Maimona, go ahead po.
Good morning po. May I ask po do we still have any monitoring as to how many areas in Davao region still conduct intensive agricultural practices that may also affect the soil or may lead to soil erosion po? Do we still have monitoring on that?
Our RD from MGB, can you answer on? Kasi agricultural kasi, no, na area. I don't think we have a data on that. We do not have a data on that.
But if not agricultural, do we still have monitoring po?
I think when it comes to any land development, kasi yun yung nasa mandate ng DNR MGB. So, since we are continuously conducting our geohazard assessment and mapping of the whole region, so part of this is really looking into the conditions, the natural conditions of the soil, kung this is prone to landslide or flooding, and ano yung naging factor nito mga land development. So I think that is still part of our ongoing programs.
Thank you po. Another question po is, you have mentioned kanina, ma'am, na you need first to know who the culprit behind the shooting of the Philippine Eagle. So what will be our next move once we have identified the culprit?
of course, we will be filing a case against the culprit, no? Enumerated na ko earlier, unsa ang penalty, imprisonment of 6 years and 1 day to 12 years, a fine of 100,000 to 1 million. So, bugat-bugat na, no? So, it should be panghimatan ni sa ato ang mga katawhan nga dili nato hilabtan dapat, especially ang ato ang mga critically endangered species like the Philippine eagle, no? So we really need to intensify our IEC, especially in the barangay level. Although in Barangay Mangayon, in Davao de Oro, just last March, the DNR was there to conduct SEPA, no? Siguro magbalik po doon sa pagpahibalo gihapon og sa values po sa mga tao nga nasa area, no? So isa na sa mga i-consider nato. So itap nato na sila sa sunod para magtabang sila sa tuwag protekta sa tuwang mga wildlife.
So ngayon po ba may lead as to this investigation? So blind pa tayo.
None as of the moment, sir. No, wala pang latest update. We were monitoring yesterday, but as of today, I'm not so sure. Kasi nasa area pa po. No? The area is hard to reach, no? May mga security concerns, so...
How is our local IP community helping also in the aspect of investigation?
The IP community is also helping us together with the police and other enforcement agencies, with our MDRRMOs, no? So, nandun po sila sa area ngayon. And we will give updates, no? Abangan na po natin sa DNR Davao na Facebook page.
Yeah, nakakalungkot and it's very unfortunate na namatay si mga yon. Ito yung sa conservation efforts po ng ating departamento. But unfortunately, it happened and hopefully, so ilalas si sir. Go ahead po, sir.
Okay, last, habol lang, pasensya na. Last month on Friday, we had our press con with Mayor Baste. And na-mention man good niya because we asked about the updates sa HPBS and WTE. Ingon siya nga, nagsulat siya since January pa sa DOTR and also DNR, but until karon wala siya na dawat nga reply coming from these two offices. Kung sa may status, kaya ano sa dawat na nadungog daw nga, possible nga dili na madayon ang HPBS. My first question is, nganong walay reply nga na gihatag si DNR sa part ni DNR kay Mayor Baste? And then unsa nay status ni HPBS?
SPB.
Kato na lang katong lang first question.
WTE.
Reply ni DNR. Sorry.
We have sent a communication to Mayor Baste that we can proceed with the repackaging, no? Based on the memorandum we received from our USEC for planning, that they also received a memo from NEDA na we can proceed with the repackaging. So, baka lost in translation lang po siguro, but we have communicated through our EMB. Anyway, we will communicate with Attorney Francis Layog. Okay. Thank you very much for raising that.
Oo. Sige, rejoinder lang po yung kanina sa tanong ni Ms. Moira. Ano po yung status, ma'am, ng kwan, ng paghahanap ng relocation site for the Masara victims? Kasi parang nahihirapan po pag-identify mga areas na safe areas for them for the relocation site. And if I'm not mistaken, sa land area ng Davao de Oro, parang halos lahat po ng kabukiran na medyo may issue of integrity and hindi pwedeng lagyan ng mga relocation sites on those. So ano po yung status po natin doon?
Okay, for the relocation sites, actually, it depends po dun sa local government unit kung ano yung ipopropose nila. So as to date, we have already inspected 28 sites. No, and out of these 28 sites that was being proposed by the local government unit, 14 na po ang potential na pwedeng i-develop. So the next steps will be, we will now depend on, again, on the local government unit, our partnership, if they will proceed with the development, kasi that will again undergo a site inspection, we call it the geological site scoping para mas detalyado po ano na yung magiging proposed site development plan nila.
Nakadepende po kasi sa inyo yung decision ngayon ng local government unit in terms of the development, where should the relocation site. Ang magiging tanong kasi ng taong bayan, ma'am, is that how long will our evacuees stay in the evacuation center, and how fast can the development of the supposed to be na ipropose niyo na relocation site na mapabilis?
Siguro, sir, would just like to clarify kasi the proposal will be coming from the LGU kasi marami silang dapat i-consider yung tenurial instrument, no? So marami silang dapat tingnan when it comes to the availability of land. So the DNR-MGB comes in when we do now the geohazard assessment. So yun nga, meron na tayong 14 sites na na-assess based on their proposal. So 28 po yung na-propose nila. We assess all of those, and 14 po ang na-identify as potential. And I think there are now 2 sites na ongoing na ang development. So, kung may mga additional pa po na request, so that's the time po that the DNR-MGB comes in again. But the maps, actually, that's the beauty of the geohazard maps that we are providing with the local government unit kasi that can be their initial basis po na maghanap ng mga areas. And when we see, kasi when we say Davao de Oro, as you've mentioned earlier, mapula yung, kasi mabukid na talaga, mabundok ang Davao de Oro. It does not stop development. But when we say red areas, these are classified as a highly susceptible to landslide. Development may be introduced but subject to mitigating measures po. Dapat may ilagay talaga silang engineering measures to make it relatively safe po.
Of course, katuwang natin yung ibang mga ahensya gaya ng DPWH and other mga agencies that brings or provides for the permits. Siguro, last to my part, siguro, RD, I don't know, the mineral industry is being looked at, $1 trillion mineral industry po natin. And may impression ng public pag sinabing mining, it only brings destruction, etc. And these are, medyo hindi ito masyadong naintindihan ng ating taong bayan. So, usually po, paano po natin na ipoproject sa publiko ngayon na makita yung value of this industry na nakakatulong din ito para sa kabuhayan, ekonomiya ng ating lipunan. At the same time, ano po yung ginagawa ng mining operators na mapasiguro na nare-rehabilitate talaga yung area?
Sige, Red. I think one advantage na the MGB is part of the DNR, it just says na we can coexist the conservation of the environment and the development of the mineral resources. Kaya magkasama kami. So that signifies the coexistence. To ensure po that, for the promotion of mineral development, number 1 talaga is the IEC. Kailangan talagang ipaalam sa mga stakeholders ano po yung advantages din ng mining. Kasi yun nga, ang perception natin always is distraction. So hindi lang naiintindihan that there is what we call the responsible mining. So actually, Philippines has one of the most strictest policy when it comes to mining. Talagang grabe ang batas natin when it comes to mining. And syempre nag-evolve ang ating mga policies on that. And from yung mga dating operations pa and right now, we are now integrating the social, environment, and even the safety. Yan po yung mga aspects na tinitingnan at kino-comply ng ating mga mining companies and is being constantly monitored po ng ating ahensya. And we have the multi-partite monitoring team. Hindi lang po MGB ang nagmo-monitor niyan, but we have all our partner stakeholders, may NGO, we have mga the local government unit, and even the locals, the academe is part of this multi-partite monitoring team to ensure na talagang compliant ang ating mining companies when it comes to the implementation of the environmental program, safety and health, and of course, the social development and management programs.
Thank you po ma'am sa pagpapaliwanag and we look forward na mailapit natin yung impormasyon na ito sa ating mga taong bayan. And we thank our media partners who are here, our multipliers. And of course, RD, for your way forward, may panawagan, meron pa ba kayong mga anunsyo para sa ating taong bayan?
Ang amo lang namang panawagan is be with us, no? Tabangin me. Because the DNR cannot do this alone. While our mandate is for the protection, conservation, development of our natural resources, it is also our mission to mobilize our citizenry to assist us, no? Primary agency lang na kami ang mag-implement ani, but we really need you. That's why we are inviting our partners, our private partners, our stakeholders, our local government units, the NGOs and the CSOs to be with us in protecting our environment and natural resources. Daghang salamat, RD, for this opportunity.
Yes, daghang salamat, Attorney Dumagan, and to our resource persons and to our Penros. Maraming salamat to our media partners again. Daghang salamat and happy birthday again kay Piniketa. Nag-live talaga. Sa ating Luworks, again sa DICT and sa DNR family, maraming salamat po sa ating lahat. Magandang araw, Davao, amping tanan.